At first glance, the Lakers' most pressing needs seem fairly clear. They could really use a true two-way wing, someone who can reliably hit the three and defend at a starter's level, as well as a dependable backup center. A player in the mold of Nick Richards, for example, could check a lot of boxes for this roster. I say at first glance because things are still fluid. The Lakers are notorious for pulling off unexpected moves. We've seen this before. Last season, they were reported to be standing pat, only for a deal to materialize within a couple of days. What seemed like a quiet front quickly turned into trades for key rotation players, including Luka Doncic later down the line. So, even if the market looks calm right now, things could change very quickly for this team. There's also the possibility of growth from within. Jared Vanderbilt, for instance, might make strides as a shooter this season. Jackson Hayes, who has proven he can step in as a starter in certain situations, is now shifting back into a backup role, which is a much better fit for him long-term. If Vanderbilt and Jake LaRavia both find consistency, the Lakers may not even feel pressured to swing a trade. Instead, waiting for the right opportunity to present itself while already fielding one of the league's strongest rosters. Still, one potential trade framework worth considering, though probably more likely closer to the deadline than during the off-season, involves the Suns, specifically the idea of targeting Dillon Brooks and Nick Richards. Both players address clear need. Brooks provides that defensive-minded wing presence, while Richards would solidify the front court rotation. The likelihood of such a move depends heavily on Phoenix's trajectory. If their season doesn't pan out, for example, if they're hovering around the play-in again, they may decide to offload contracts and reset around their core pieces. Richards, in particular, seems like someone who could be moved sooner rather than later, given the Suns' logjam at the center spot. From Phoenix's perspective, parting with Brooks could also make sense financially. He's owed over $20 million this year and close to the same amount next season. If the front office doesn't view him as a long-term starter at the three, moving him for expiring contracts and draft assets could be appealing. The Lakers, with plenty of short-term deals on the books, are well-positioned to step in if that opportunity arises. The big question, however, is cost. Would Los Angeles be willing to part with a first-round pick to make the deal happen? Probably not. Would Phoenix even consider a package without one? That's where things get complicated. If the Lakers are winning and don't have an urgent hole to fill, they may prefer to hold their assets and remain patient. But if the price is reasonable and the fit is right, it's the kind of mid-season shakeup that could push an already strong team closer to contention. When it comes to Dillon Brooks, his trade value isn't straightforward. For a team looking to contend, he might very well be worth a first-round pick, but not all firsts carry the same weight. There's a huge difference between an unprotected lottery selection from a struggling franchise and a heavily protected pick from a playoff lock. Because Brooks plays at a position that's always in demand, I could see him generating real interest around the league. From the Lakers' perspective, acquiring him wouldn't necessarily require an outrageous package. He's a solid, impactful player, and realistically obtainable if the price is right. The concerns about past tension with LeBron James aren't really an obstacle. LeBron has played alongside players he's clashed with before, and Brooks's competitive edge could actually benefit Los Angeles. The Lakers could use someone who brings that level of grit. A guy who doesn't shy away from physicality, who's willing to get under opponents' skin, and who brings an edge when the games get tough. Pairing someone like Brooks with Marcus Smart, for example, would instantly boost the team's toughness and defensive identity. That said, Brooks isn't the only target that makes sense. Nick Richards would also fit perfectly, providing stability and size in the front court without requiring the Lakers to give up too much. Both players are realistic options if the team decides it needs reinforcements and the asking price isn't too steep. A potential three-team deal could even come into play, depending on how the market develops. The bigger question is how the Suns approach their season. It's easy to assume they'll struggle, but they're not without talent. Their roster is more balanced now compared to last year, with added versatility and depth, even though the fit between players like Jalen Green and Devin Booker isn't seamless. it's at least more functional than before. Add in Brooks plus their rotation of centers, and they could hover around the middle of the pack in the West. I still don't see them being a serious contender, but sneaking into the 6th seed or staying competitive in the play-in mix isn't out of the question. If that's the case, they may eventually decide to shed salary and retool in the offseason, possibly searching for better roster balance or a bigger guard who can create offense while playing off the ball. That could even lead to them pursuing someone like Ben Simmons or another unconventional fit if they open up the financial space. From the Lakers' standpoint, though, the focus should be simple. Brooks and Richards are both players who fill specific needs this roster has been trying to address for a while. Adding either one would make the team stronger without necessarily jeopardizing their long-term flexibility. Looking at Nick Richards specifically, I don't see him as a full-time starter, but more as one of the league's better backup bigs. He's the type of player you can rely on in stretches, or if injuries force him into a bigger role, but ideally, he's someone who shores up your bench rotation. The difference between his production and someone like Jackson Hayes isn't massive, but the consistency Richards brings is valuable. Having a reliable backup big is more of a finishing touch than a transformational move, the cherry on top, not the centerpiece. That's why deals involving players like Robert Williams have always intrigued me, not just because of the center, but because of the possibility of packaging him with a defensive wing who fills another hole. If the Lakers can acquire a player like Richards and a true 3-and-D presence such as Dillon Brooks, then the roster immediately becomes more balanced and playoff-ready. Financially, it's workable too. Richards is only making $5 million on an expiring deal, while Brooks sits around $22 million. To match salaries, Los Angeles would need to reach about $27 million outbound, which is still more manageable than a potential Andrew Wiggins trade. That could mean involving a third team, attaching a pick swap, or moving pieces like Rui Hachimura, Dalton Knecht, and Gabe Vincent if necessary. While it would be tough to part with Rui, a return of Richards and Brooks would strengthen two positions of need, with players who are both young enough to contribute now and potentially long-term. Richards, turning 28 early in the season, will likely command more than his current $5 million going forward. The question is whether he'd accept something in the $12–15 million range or chase a bigger payday and a guaranteed starting role elsewhere. That's a risk worth weighing if you bring him in. Brooks, on the other hand, feels like the centerpiece of this type of move. At 29, he's still firmly in his prime, and his contract is aligned with the Lakers' 2027 cap outlook. By the time that rolls around, he'd be 32, still at an age where he could contribute either as a starter or a rotation piece on a more team-friendly deal. His durability also stands out. 75 games last season, 72 the year before, 73 before that. Availability is one of his biggest strengths, and he pairs that with real production. Last year, he averaged over 32 minutes, attempted 12 shots per game, and hit nearly 40% from 3 on more than 6 attempts per night. That's high-volume shooting from the wing, exactly the kind of skill set the Lakers need to space the floor around their stars. In short, Richards would be a great stabilizer in the front court, but Brooks is the real prize here. He provides toughness, shooting, and reliable availability, all traits that could elevate the Lakers' rotation immediately while still fitting into their long-term plan. While shooting 46.5% on twos, nearly 40% from 3, and over 81% from the free throw line. Alongside his scoring, he chipped in nearly 4 rebounds, 2 assists, a steal, and half a block per game. Those are the kind of reliable numbers that, combined with his defense and durability, make him such an attractive option for a contending team. Turning to Nick Richards, his profile is a bit different. He isn't a floor-spacing big and doesn't attempt threes, but he provides efficiency and interior stability. In just under 23 minutes per game last year, he averaged 9.5 points, 6 rebounds, and a block while shooting over 60% from the field and an impressive 82% from the free throw line. For a center who operates almost entirely inside, that level of efficiency is exactly what you want from a role player. He has consistently shown the ability to rebound at a high level and protect the rim while staying within his lane offensively. Looking at his combined numbers across Phoenix and Charlotte, Richards played 57 games, starting 43 of them, and posted 9.3 points and 2 rebounds per game on 59% shooting. His per-36 numbers are even more encouraging, around 15 points, 13 rebounds, and nearly 2 blocks, showcasing what he could provide with extended minutes if needed. He won't stretch the floor, but he doesn't need to. His value lies in his rebounding, interior finishing, rim protection, and surprising reliability at the free throw line. That's why a package including both Brooks and Richards makes so much sense. The Lakers would be addressing 2 of their biggest needs: a physical, versatile wing who can defend and knock down threes, and a dependable backup center who provides size and consistency. Acquiring both in the same deal would give the roster balance, depth, and playoff readiness without mortgaging the future. In the end, Brooks would be the headline piece, but Richards would represent the type of high-value role player that championship teams often need to round out their rotation. Put together, they could help solve some of the Lakers' most glaring gaps and set the team up for a deeper run.